Alright, coming at you today with an early review of Don John, directed by, written by, and starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays a man with interesting priorities, including his family, his friends, working out, and his church, but most interestingly, porn. He's so addicted to porn that he actually thinks it's better than real sex, and he's developed unrealistic expectations about relationships. But then he eyes this one girl, and things start to change. He thinks this could be the one. Now, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is one of the best actors working in the industry today, certainly one of the most likable. He's chosen a lot of careful, interesting projects, and I very much like him as an actor. So it was interesting to see him take on his first writing and directing role, and I was curious, but a little skeptical, because not every actor can be a director. You can direct really well-made films. But he proved me wrong. This is actually a pretty good movie. For a directing debut, yeah, he's definitely starting in a good spot. It's hard to direct and act at the same time, because you have to direct yourself, but you're in front of the camera, so that's a challenge. It's very hard for any person to do that, but he did a pretty good job here. He's obviously great in the movie, as is everybody. Besides Joseph Gordon-Levitt, we also have Scarlett Johansson, and Tony Danza is another worthy mention. Julianne Moore. There's some other people too, but those are the main people in the movie. And they all do a fantastic job, as expected. Tony Danza I'm actually not that familiar with, but I really liked his character here. He was actually pretty funny. Julianne Moore I'm not a huge fan of, but just wasn't ever a huge fan of her. But she is a great actress, and of course, she knocks it out of the park here. Scarlett Johansson had the thickest accent of anybody. I guess it was a Jersey accent. I'm not the greatest with accents, but it was interesting. She did a good job. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he has actually some pretty considerable range, because it seems like in every movie I've seen him in now, he has a slightly different voice and even look to his character, but he fully embraces this role, and it's definitely different than anything I've ever seen him do before. This movie was hilarious. Easily one of the funniest movies I've seen this year, and I know there's been some great comedies out there. I wasn't a big fan of This Is the End or The World's End. They were good, but I wasn't a huge fan of them, but this was funny. It had a lot of sexual jokes and relationship jokes, and it just worked. It had the whole audience cracking up, and it was kind of like funny, because this is a movie that you probably would watch by yourself, but seeing it in a theater with a big crowd, it made for a really fun experience. And the movie was kind of realistic and relatable in how it portrayed these relationships, or maybe rather not, but it made you very aware of the unrealistic expectations that people have. Usually guys get unrealistic expectations from porn, and women get unrealistic expectations from romance movies. It's very interesting seeing that dynamic and seeing those two personalities collide. And that's one of the movie's strongest suits, besides the comedy, is just the realism with how it portrays these relationships and how people are flawed. In particular, you latch on to Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, and it's interesting to see him go through this change. I also like that the movie was kind of bold. It wasn't afraid to talk explicitly through the dialogue about sex and pornography, which was just, it was kind of interesting. It's definitely something you don't really see a lot, of in movies, in the theater in general, so it was just, I don't know, like it wasn't afraid to go there, and I kind of appreciated that. It made it more engaging. Also, a unique surprise about the movie was the editing. For a first-time directing debut, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he must have had a say in the very fast editing and the music cues. Like, it was interesting to look at from that perspective. It was very, very engaging, yet again. And therefore, the movie had a very fast pace, and it just made it really easy to watch. Don John is pretty unconventional in a lot of respects. It doesn't have, I wouldn't say a straightforward three-act structure story, and it does have a character arc, but again, like the way it portrays love, and it almost takes this route of analyzing, or like a more objective view, kind of like how Cabin in the Woods deconstructed horror. This kind of deconstructs relationships. But there were times where it did feel still a little cliched. And also because of the movie's character and like the voiceover, which I did like. I liked the voiceover. But also the movie just felt very repetitive, and for obvious reasons. Like once you see the movie you'll get it. But it does make it a little tougher to sit through maybe on repeat viewings if it's just kind of repetitive. Some of it was used to comedic effect though, so I did like that. But what I'm trying to get at here is it does have some things to say about relationships, but I think it could have gone deeper than it did. There's just something though, like I can't really pinpoint it, maybe it's in the story, I don't know, but like something about Don John was lacking, and that's what's keeping it from being an excellent movie. I liked the explicit nature of the dialogue and stuff, but I think a lot of it felt more surface level, and like some of it was just through the dialogue. I think it could have been done better. But still, for a directorial first, this was still a very entertaining movie, a great time, very enjoyable, very watchable, certainly one of the most enjoyable movies I've seen all year for sure. Really funny, had heart, it had interesting characters, very funny characters, very likable characters, a really good time. And it actually took a turn at one point that I didn't expect. It was kind of nice, but it did feel a little been there, done that once we got past that point, but it did keep me interested, for sure, and that's a big compliment. Overall, it was well done. Don John was a very fun watch, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt is one of the greatest working talents today. I'd like to see more from him. I'd like to see him do other movies where he's directing, because I certainly enjoy his acting. Great guy, very likable. So go see this movie when it comes out. I know September can be kind of hit or miss, and October looks to be that way as well, I guess. So yeah, go check it out.